you see it because it says we're live.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Ooh. I guess you can see it.
It says it's upcoming. So down at the bottom of the screen, is there like a go live?
I hit go live, and the only thing I see now is end stream, and it says we've been live for 46 seconds.
Are you talking to Derek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need him?
No.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, great.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Appreciate your help. Bye.
We're good?
We're good.
We good with the mic? We all set?
If we have a little table I can move with.
What about that thing right there? Does
Oh, hello. I didn't even see that. Sorry.
that work?
And I can just, as soon as you go on, it should be ready. Okay. If you want to use this, do you want me to sit next to you?
Is that just the one?
Do you just want one?
Yeah, just one's fine.
Okay. So it's ready to be.
Yes.
Yes.
This is gonna be weird.
But they do have cookies if you want it in hot. Sherry's like, been in there for a while. You should go, they have the trouble.
Yeah, because nobody's built that. They don't ever advertise.
I know, and they kind of like in their way. Carol's right. Yeah.
You ready?
I think so.
Okay, thanks for everything.
Yeah.
You sure? Yeah, they're both really good.
Hello.
So yeah. Either one's fine.
I just turned it up for a second. Thank you. Ready, Mikey?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I have to wear glasses now. I can't see.
You guys hear about readers?
I have to wear readers. All right, we ready to get going?
You know what that means?
Can you hear? What?
OLD.
I know. All right. Well, welcome to the November edition of the Sugar House Community Council meeting. Everybody looks like they all feel the same way we all do. So we're going to get to this. Hopefully, the agenda's not very full tonight, so hopefully we'll fly through for Leah. We have two people. Hong's here tonight. Hong won her election.
Yes.
We'll give her a congrats. And I saw Senator Pitchers here, so we can say congratulations to her.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go right to Mike for the treasurer report.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all today, this evening. Just a quick update where we stand on the finances. Logged into our U.S. bank account this evening before our meeting, and checked the balance, $5,764.12. Over the last month, we we paid for 6 months of our web hosting service and website service. That's $750 for that, for 6 months of that. That might go up coming up. Apparently the web hosting side of it saw an increase. So we'll see. But they kept it the same as the last 6 months this time around. So $750 gets us 6 months of maintaining our website. And then double checked onto the PayPal account. We had $1,706.32 with an additional couple of repeating transactions for people who've signed up for that. Thank you for your generous contributions, and just work to move it all, consolidate those funds back into a normal bank account right here in Sugar House. So total $7,470.44 now. So thank you everybody who's contributed so far over the last year for the council and for some of the other projects we've done. Appreciate everyone's generosity.
Hey, we're gonna have the principal of Highland come on up real quick and talk about the bond that passed.
Yes.
Thank you all so much, and thank you all so much. No, we're really excited. The last few weeks have started meetings with our architecture firm. We're working with Naylor Wentworth, which is been great so far. We've had a great relationship looking at the potential of a new building, what it would look like, where we're planning on putting it. Right now we're in the process of building the program, how many classes we need, how many other types of spaces we need. We have gone out and toured a few other newer high schools. So just last week we went and looked at the new high school they're building out in Twilla, Deseret Peak. We went and looked at the new Skyline building. And then we also went and looked at one up north. Anyway, but it was great. So yeah, we're getting some really good ideas. We're excited. I think the plan right now, from what I've seen, is that we'll likely break ground a year from this spring. So spring of 26. Hopefully, be ready to move into a new building by 2030. So that's the plan. Thank you again. Go Rams. Yes.
In the art provisions that you showed when we were here before, there weren't any windows in that building. Are you going to put any windows in the new building?
There will be lots of windows. Yes, yes, lots of windows. So, yeah, no,
It's a school, not a prison.
correct. Although, you know, that people like to say the current school used to be the prison. Not true, but yeah, no. So there will be a lot of windows. 4 stories currently on the northeast corner, the main academic part of the building. So yeah, we're really excited about it. It's going to be great for our students, our community, and everybody else. So really excited about that. Hopefully get started soon.
Jeremy, there's stuff in the bin. A whole bunch of stuff in the bin.
Okay. Thank you.
Go Rams. Go Rams. Come on up, Sam.
All right. Good to be here with everybody tonight. There we go. I always think I'm going to break this thing. I think I know most of y'all by now. Not by name, but by face. But if you don't, I'm Detective Sam Fallows. I'm the community liaison for Districts 5, 6, and 7. This is District 7 out here. All the Sugar House is 7. And one of my main jobs is to come to these meetings, report on the crime stats for the neighborhood. So that's what we'll do tonight. And then I'm going to go over a couple of reminders for just the upcoming holiday season and everything like that. And then take any questions if anybody has any questions for me. So first, let's talk about the stats. Everything I talk about can be found on our website, slcpd.com. We have a lot of really awesome open data sources. I know some people like those little crime, I don't know what you call them, crime alerts online. So, you know, like 99% of the time, those are very inaccurate. And I'll give you an example why. Like, let's say we get like a shots fired call up on the east side, and it pops up in your phone is like, oh, shots fired. And you're like, holy crap, you know? And then what it ended up being was fireworks, but they don't put that in the data. It just sends you the shots fired. And so if you want to see like the actual calls for service, all those are on our website under the open data. You can see it's not, it's like 15 minutes, so it's pretty close to real time. And there's, some redacted information for safety reasons, but you can actually see like if something happened in your neighborhood, you can kind of go through and look. So the website has a lot of good resources that are free, 100% free. So for we'll go the last month, so we get a full month of crime stats. For the month of October in Sugar House, we had a total of 97 crimes reported, which isn't super uncommon. We have a lot of businesses out here. In fact, it's super low. So when we look at the 3-year average, property crime is down 33%, and violent crime is down 12.5% in Sugar House specifically. So for the 3-year average, for the year to date, we're down 12% and 21%. So yeah, things are looking great. Things are coming down. Hopefully, we're feeling that. Again, remember we're talking about violent crime and like the higher property crimes. Some of the pettier crimes that we deal with on a day-to-day, sometimes like the transient issues or the camping, things like that. We work on those, obviously. As your community liaison, I work a lot on that. But for the ones that are like super important that really affect the neighborhoods, all those are coming down, which is great. That's what we want to see. So just to give an example, in 2022, we had 185. 2020, we had 232 total crimes reported for this month, for October. And this month we're at 97. So just to give you an idea of like the downward. And you can go see all this. It's kind of cool. If you're ever just bored or something. Or if you want to do my job, because my job can be boring. But yeah, it's really interesting information. But so when we kind of dive into the stats a little bit, we get a lot of thefts up here. And again, it's because of the businesses for the most part. We've got, some very big businesses in the area. But so I don't worry too much about those. But what I care more about are like the vehicle burglaries. That's people breaking into your car, stealing things. And then burglaries in general, which is like of your home, of your garage, of your shed. Actually, no, excuse me. Residential is different. We only had 2 of those, which is good. We don't want to see a lot of residential burglaries, but burglaries in general of like either businesses or your garage or like a back shed. We had 12 of those in this month. So just, make sure we're locking everything up at night. Make sure we're turning on our lights. That's a big, big one. I know I preach that a lot. If you've been here before, you've heard me say it, but like turn on your lights at night. Just do everything you can in your power to try and not be a victim. And, again, sometimes we do everything right and then, our window still gets smashed. It happens. But for the most part, the best way to help prevent it is to just do these little things. And then with the colder season, we generally see motor vehicle thefts go up. Right now, we only had 2 in October, which is good, but we just kind of started hitting the cold in October, so I don't want to see that go up too much. But we are way down. So like year to date right now, we're at 57 total motor vehicle thefts. The year before, we had 107 at the same time. Wow. So like those are down too. So everything's looking good. So y'all just keep doing it, all right? Just keep going. Make my job easy. So yeah, but when we're warming up our vehicles, make sure we're either with the vehicle or utilize the auto start feature or something like that. That's generally how they get stolen. As people are warming them up, they go inside and get their coffee or whatever and head out to work and the car's gone. So just be aware of that with the colder weather coming up. And then again, something we see a lot of is people are going to start doing their Christmas shopping and all that stuff coming up. Just try to put everything in your trunk if you can, because it's locked in there. It's not visible. Just try and hide the stuff as best you can. Most of these crimes are crimes of opportunity, so they're just going and pulling on door handles until they find one that's open, and they're just grabbing anything they can real quick and they're taking off. So, yeah, if you take those little smaller precautions, it can definitely help. Other than that, I think that's what I have for the stats. Is there any questions that I can answer or anything I can follow up on?
So I would like to hear from you about the incident the other night at Smith's. I was out walking, like a half block from there.
About what now?
Smith's.
What happened?
Shooting.
There was a shooting at Smith's? Okay, I don't necessarily 100% know about everything that happens, but tell me
There
about it.
was a federal marshal.
Oh, okay. Yes, I understand what you're
Serving
talking
the
about.
water.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I don't remember a shooting at Smith's, but I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I read the KUTV news story and,
Yeah, hold on one sec. Let me pull up so when it comes to these, I can release certain types of information. And we did do a PR release on it, so let me pull it up real quick and I'll tell you what I can tell you. So yeah, essentially the U.S. Marshals, I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're like, there's a task force called, they're a task force for the U.S. Marshals. They do work all over the county. They arrest really bad people. And so they were in the area trying to arrest an individual. During that arrest, shots were fired essentially with an officer-involved shooting, meaning the officer was involved in the shooting. When that happened, so it was not a Salt Lake City officer, so Salt Lake City PD was not directly involved in the shooting. You saw a lot of Salt Lake City cars because obviously when something like that happens, we're gonna have a huge police presence come in to deal with the issue. There's so many things that have to happen. We have to lock down the scene. We have to get medical help. We have to make sure no one else is hurt. All these things have to happen like very quickly. So you probably saw a exorbitant amount of police officers in the area for a while, because those are big, long investigations, right? People don't understand this, but as a police officer, when you get into a shooting, you're now a homicide suspect if that person dies. At a minimum, you just shot someone, right? Generally, it's justified and it's okay, but I'm still a suspect. They still have to investigate that as if it is a crime essentially until it's not, right? And so that's how they do it. That's how we do it. And so, so we have to take the same thing we would do if someone got shot at the Smiths, who's just a citizen on citizen. Like, it'd be the same exact principle. So it sounds like the person went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and then we kind of locked down the scene, and I think we're doing the investigation on it, if I remember correctly. Does that answer some of the questions?
And you probably can't address this, but my understanding is that a lot in the past 2 years, and he's always let go, and apparently a danger to our community.
So I don't know specifically on that, because I don't even see a name and I didn't have a chance to look at it. Oh, I got you.
Every one of them was, what is this guy doing now?
Yeah.
Well,
He was like a multiple parolee.
gotcha. And it does happen for sure, like without a question.
One quick question. Did SLCPD know in real time this was going down? Did you guys know that something was happening in our neighborhood?
I don't know the answer to that question. Probably, it could be. So generally what happens is, especially if another agency comes in our jurisdiction, they generally call dispatch and let's say, hey, just so you know, we're in the area doing like whatever, trying to do a traffic stop, doing surveillance, gonna arrest a suspect. Sometimes we go help with that depending on like what the situation is. I'm not sure if that happened for this case or not. Eventually, obviously, we got called, but I don't know if we knew ahead of time. I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
So my Santa shack got a rock thrown through the window, shattered glass, and the good news is we had the big space heaters against the door, so they unlocked the door and they couldn't get in. Had they gone to the other side, they would be able to get in. It took a couple hours for an officer to get there, but he was so awesome. Officer Colleen, he cared, he was thorough, and I so appreciated that. But I'm asking the community, because it's kind of dark there, there's no store right next door. If you notice anything weird, because I went and talked to Santa afterwards and said, oh yeah, we saw some homeless and they were camped here, and there was this big thing like, tell me,
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you see anything, please call me, because it was, I don't know how long before I learned about it, but it happened. So,
Was it kind of an overnight thing and then we were called in the morning type thing?
well, the property manager emailed me and said, by the way.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for calling, because the first thing is going to get reported, because we can't do anything about it if we don't know about it. That's number one. And then number two, yeah, like, what was your name, ma'am?
Laurie.
Laurie. Like Laurie said,
We've
like,
talked before.
yeah, I know we have. I'm so bad
Lots
with
of
names.
times.
I don't even know my own name half the time. So. But like Laurie said, it's, and I've talked about this before, like, just be looking out for the suspicious activity, right? And we want activity, right? It's just not just there's somebody in an area for no reason. Like, it's what are they doing that's suspicious? But again, and I've highlighted it before, but just real quick, there was like a suspicious vehicle that had been parked in a neighborhood for hours running. That's not normal, right? Those are actions that are like, that's weird. Like, why is this person just parked in the vehicle for hours, So a concerned citizen called it in. We were able to get there. We investigated it. It ended up being a stolen vehicle occupied by a suspect. And then we linked that suspect to, I think it was like something like 4 or 5 other cases in the city that we were able to close because of that. All stolen vehicle cases. So just from an alert citizen, it's like, hey, there's something weird about this. Like, that's not right. Like, they called us, just a non-emergency, no big deal. So yeah, it's very helpful to do that. At a minimum, it kind of gets an officer through the area, and we can't always respond super quick depending on how busy we are. But now that it's kind of cooling off and our calls for service generally kind of go down, and knock on wood, but generally they start to go down during this time. Calls for service kind of slow down a little bit, so our officers have a little bit more time. They can respond a little bit quicker. They have more time to do proactive work and go to these businesses. So if you have a business that you do want extra patrols done, the caveat is it is based on patrol availability, but you're welcome to like call it in to me or to our patrol hotline. Or you just basically call dispatch and say, hey, I want to request a patrol check at my business or at my home, whatever it may be. and they'll, we can facilitate that. And so, but yes, important point, be aware, look out for each other, right? You guys are in the neighborhood all the time. Like we're not, because, we get called all over the place, but you all are here all the time and you're seeing a lot more than we ever are for sure. So it's definitely helpful if we can have those eyes on the street calling us when there's an issue. So thank you. Any other questions? All righty. We all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Okay, just a reminder, we're not gonna have a meeting in December.
Oh.
Is that bad?
No.
Take the holiday season off. All right, let's go with, next we're gonna talk about the H-Rock. This is Tyler Bonero from Salt Lake City Public Lands.
Hi, thanks, Landon. I'm Tyler Bonero. Rockstar. Okay. I am the recreational trails manager for Salt Lake City Trails and Natural Lands, which is a division of Salt Lake City Public Lands. Anna is always there with extra Anna. I so wanted to say Vanna. I'm like, I don't want to finish it. You're so much more than Vanna. Let me grab my glasses. So Landon asked, hey, there's been a lot of questions about the H-Rock and wanted to come in and give you a little bit of background and then kind of open it up to Q&A. So a quick history. Over years of painting the rock and rivalry with East High and West coming over and it's back and forth, a constituent came to the city and says, hey, is there anything we can do to help make this a safer place? Because the kids are getting harmed, the paint looks horrible, and the rock's falling apart. And we were ecstatic, for a constituent to come, and we encouraged them to apply for a CIP, which is a constituent improvement or community improvement proposal. It fortunately did not get passed. It got a bunch of signatures, but there's so many great projects that can happen. We decided that we were going to go ahead and fund it ourselves with budget we have public lands. So to get the process started, there's a lot of emotion and culture around. You don't have to hold it up that much. You'll be fine. Rest those arms. I actually started by going to the high school and meeting with the kids because this is a tradition that's really important to them. In a former life, I was a school administrator, so it was great to go be with kids again and actually met with them and talked about some of the dilemmas that is there. It's public property. There's no agreement with the city. No one ever gave Highland permission to paint the rock. It's an illegal activity. They're like, so don't worry, we're not sending the police after you. It's just a matter of, it's just been happening over time, and all of a sudden now there's a challenge. And so because it's falling apart, kids were shooting the Highland kids with BB guns. Every time Highland tries to go paint the rock, another high school come spray paint it, etc. It was looking decent just last month, and now let's just say it's not. And this isn't trying to play favorites. Go Rams! I do have two Highland daughters, but the issue is the rock is falling apart as well. So the money that we are budgeting is we've got a landscape architect, natural resource specialist doing a proposal on doing restoration to open up and clean up the Devonshire entrance, and then do some restoration of the rock. The question is long term, and this is the question presented to the students: is can the painting of the H continue? And if so, how safely and environmentally? And if not, what other traditions can we replace that with to honor that rock? Great history lesson for the kids, an ethical summer kind of presentation, not presentation, but conversation. West used to have a W on Ensign Peak. East used to have an E on Twin Peaks, and that was news to them as well. So it was a good conversation. Long story short, that's where we are now. Because of the decay of the rock, the kids and others climbing up the rock, it is just eroding at an exponential pace. So we actually fenced it with temporary fence, like construction type flexible fence. There's no way to put a chain link fence around it. It would just be too expensive, too challenging, and kids will get around that anyway. So we put that up. Right now we're looking at next steps, as it didn't prevent, obviously. We didn't expect it to prevent kids from painting it, but we wanted to kind of literally say, hey, this is off limits. Thank you, Hannah, for that sign. That's the sign that's on all their fences, posted in the ground at all three, at Devonshire, at Lakeline, and at Scenic, as well as in multiple spots. Unfortunately, it did get painted again. We are per the recommendation, filing a police report so the high school kids know we are taking this seriously, not as a threat, just as like, we mean it and we need you to stay off the rock. It's not safe. So we should be getting a report in the spring on what some proposals are for restoration on the rock, whether and other desired amenities, whether we have some benches and some fences just to beautify it a little bit and bring some pride to the H Rock in that space. And then make it accessible to not just Highland students and East High students, et cetera, but all of us who want to go recreate in an accessible space in the foothills. So that's where we're at right now. We'll probably get a summary proposal from them in the spring, and then we'll go meet again with the kids, meet with the community, and see what the next steps will be. Any questions? Wonderful. Thank you, Hannah.
Benny, you want to come on up? Where's Benny? Benny, do you need, how much time do you need? Oh, you don't?
No, not really.
Why don't you introduce yourself? You guys a Highland kid too.
Yeah, another Highland parent here. We love it there, and we're super pumped to get the new school, even though my son will be long gone. I'll still be here, supporting Highland.
All right.
Go Rams, most definitely. My name's Benny Keel. Mike Bagley asked me how long I've been running the elections committee. It's my one job. It's relatively easy. Do it once a year.
Probably 20 years.
That's what I thought. I thought 20 years. And then I thought back, well, no, because so-and-so was in charge and there was a fight because there were some absentee ballots that were left in a car at Highland High School, and the kid had to run them down to the library, and there was like a brawl. It was crazy. We like these types of elections. They're mellow, and we have great officers. So my name is Benny Keel. I've passed out ballots to all of the trustees. Are there any trustees that don't have a ballot? Everybody's got one? Okay, so like in 10 minutes, I'll come and collect them. And that's all I've got for you.
Yay.
Billy Knowles. Leah, you want to come up too? Sure. Should we do it together?
Sounds good.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Leah Jaramillo. I'm a public engagement consultant working with Salt Lake City on Sugar House Road construction.
We were thinking about writing you in on the ballots.
Let me get done being paid to come here and then I'll volunteer. I keep thinking about it.
You're here so often.
I know. I think there's a conflict of interest if I get paid to come, right?
She's worth it, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm Bill Knowles, Community Ombudsman for Salt Lake City, and I'll be catching you up on some of the private projects and a couple other little tidbits out there. And hello.
Yeah. Can't wave it around.
No, you go.
Give Bill a hard time, but you can't move this mic around. You really have to keep it here or people can't hear you.
I've never been on stage before.
I know, right? I'm just giving you some pro tips over here, Bill. Okay, Highland Drive 11th East is on schedule from Ramona North to pave next week if the weather holds. So keep your fingers crossed for snow in the mountains and nothing down here, please. They'll be working on concrete sidewalk, curb and gutter in between Wilson and Ramona this next week. And last week last meeting, we had a little disagreement about where sidewalk was, and I just want you to know that I ran into Ann and we were able to get that handled later. It was very awkward to stand up here and tell somebody that I didn't think she was correct. So we got it figured out, and they do have sidewalk now. So north side is going. They plan to stripe 21st South between 11th East and 13th East next Wednesday. So again, dry weather, please. And then they'll pull traffic control as soon as the striping is done. There will be cement concrete median installed between 11th and 13th next year. So you'll see double yellows in place of where concrete will go. And that is to prevent people from making left turns across multiple lanes of traffic on 21st South, because that is dangerous and it causes a lot of crashes. it is controversial. We know this. People don't like medians. They want to be able to turn wherever they want, but that is the end plan. So a year from now, please don't complain to me about it. Somebody will call and say, nobody ever told me. So that's the plan. And then we are, before I tell you this, I will say this. Our team, Hannah and our great public engagement team and our economic development folks went door to door last week and talked to every business to give them an overall project update and to talk about winter work. So we will have winter work. Usually we pull completely off the road. There's no way to complete the amount of work that we have and stay on schedule and complete this project, 21st South, by the end of 2025. This is because we added sewer and water replacement to the project. So these are really important underground utilities that are old. We did not want to put new road on top of old utilities. Like, we're talking like 100-year-old utilities. So that is happening, which means we will have all travel lanes open between 11th East and 13th East as early as November 15th, which is next week. Yay, jazz hands.
Yay.
We will have work from McClelland to 11th East on that water line through mid-December at night. So all 4 lanes open in the day, but nighttime lane restrictions. This is underground pipe bursting, so it's not super loud. There will be some nighttime activity over there, but not anything that makes a ton of noise. And then work from 9th East to McClelland will stop from November 22nd to January 2nd. So there will be essentially no traffic control from 9th East to 13th East right before Thanksgiving through January 2nd during the day. And then from 7th to 9th, we are going to keep working on that sewer line. So 9th East got reopened, which is a huge relief because every time they're in there, it's such a pain. So that's reopened. Like I said to somebody before, we're somewhere between 10 and 14 feet underground with that sewer line. So it's really deep. It's pretty big, which makes it slow. They are doing the same pipe bursting that they did up here. So they're moving, but it's just slow, heavy work. I will write with you. Yeah, so again, just mostly no traffic control November 22nd to January 2nd. During the day, you will see 1 lane in each direction from 7th East to 9th East. Go ahead.
On 11th, as it crosses 21, right there by the bookstore, the lights still have bags on the turn lanes, but people, use the turn lane and turn, and it's just all very confusing. What are the bags coming on so that we can just follow the rules?
So the contractor is on schedule to theoretically complete 11th East Highland by the end of the month, and the bags will come off then. But you're right, where it says no left turn, it means no left turn. So no one is obeying that right now. It is for your safety and to keep traffic flowing, right? That we are preventing left turns off of 21st South, but it's very difficult to get people to comply with that because they're trying to go to businesses. So I guess another point too is if you're taking detour routes, please slow down in area residential neighborhoods that are adjacent to 21st. We're getting some frustration from area residents. It's a lot. But again, I know we're so close. 11th East should be really picking up here shortly. I want to say that, but
Okay, she didn't say that.
we just have, like I've stood up here and told you before, we've had this contractor has had a very difficult time. They've not been able to make the kind of progress that we expected them to. And that's why we made a change. We have Stacy Whitbeck out there doing the northern section. So, yes. Lori.
When will the sidewalks on 11th East be done that we're pouring concrete right now?
Yeah, so the schedule that I'm looking at for Stacy Whitbeck shows the north section completing by the end of next week. And then right by 21st South by Sugar House Coffee and Sterling Furniture, is supposed to be like in the next 3 to 5 days. So again, it will depend on whether they were pouring today. So it should be by next week. But again, if it snows, if it rains a lot, if they can get the concrete down, they can cover it and it will keep its heat and it will cure properly. But if it's wet where they're trying to put the concrete, then they can't. They have to wait and let it dry out, or we get concrete that doesn't stick around. It breaks up and falls apart.
I'm sure you know those businesses closed. Because they were on the sidewalk.
Yes, we've coordinated with them directly as we plan our dates to go in front of them. So we told them, hey, we're going to be here on this date. And then they close so that we can, because you're right, these doors, Soup Kitchen was one, Sugar House Pub was one, the Central Bookstore, their doors literally open onto the sidewalk that we have to replace. So please do all your holiday shopping in Sugar House for those local businesses, because this is probably, in addition to the duration, we're just right up against their doors. So, any other questions about road construction? Super duper.
We're almost done, right? No.
We're
getting there. We're getting there. Okay. A couple of notes here on some private. Yeah, she works really hard. Altiterra project is one of the only private projects we've got still going on. The other one, of course, is the Lowe's project down there at Sugar Alley, and I was told that they are still online to be open this spring, probably March to April, 1st of April, and that includes the restaurant that's there on the bottom floor. So that project is moving along, and it's still maintaining, of course, one of those traffic lanes there on Highland Drive, and that will continue, again, probably for the next 60 to 90 days. But they are getting it wrapped up and getting great progress and making that thing happen pretty fast, given it's the second time they've done it. So, yes, I guess they had some practice, right? Yeah. The other live project is the Altiterra project, and that has been, most of you already know, it's been a exciting, maybe that's not the right word. Yeah, it's been a bit problematic, and but I will say that the current crew that's working on it and basically the new owners of the project are working really well with us, and they've been making deadlines. They've been making, when we've asked them for a commitment, they make it work. Right now, and I think we've had a call or two, if not 10 or 20, on the dog park entryway down there at Fairmont Park. And that's been a mystery to a lot of people. It was a mystery to us too, frankly, because what happened is they opened a pit there to put in a very large stormwater retention tank necessary to keep all the water coming from the buildings into the park. And they discovered a mystery water line. And I don't know if I reported this last time I was here, but it's been an ongoing issue in that it is, in fact, a mystery line. It's an old wooden pipe, and not only is it just a wooden pipe there, but there's water in it, water running through it. So Salt Lake Utilities, nobody knew it was there, or then even worse, what to do with it. So they've been working that out, and it's not you can just pick up one of those water lines or put a spigot on it and turn it off. So what they have done finally is gotten a solution between Salt Lake Utilities and the contractor and figured out who's doing what. And of course, there was also a small issue of, well, who's going to pay for that? You know, you didn't know that was there, but I didn't know it was there. So we've gone back and forth for the better part of 2 months. And the good news is that there's been a resolution now. Work is now beginning. They couldn't, and all that story was to say that that big pit was right in front of the dog park entryway. And they couldn't fill the hole back up and have the water line running. So they plated it over and they laid a bunch of stuff on it. And it appears that it's just sitting there doing nothing. And it kind of has, but they can't open it up safely for traffic because of the size of this pit and the plates that are over it. It is now under work to, now again, a solution has been figured out. They're moving on it as of Monday. this past Monday, and they expect to have it wrapped up in a couple of weeks. And for those of you that have been wanting to get into that dog park, at least to get in their park, you're going to have that back open in 2 weeks, and I will give it 3 weeks because they're always really optimistic. But we are seriously working on it. We've been aware of people, concerns, and questions, and we think now we can say that we're on the way to getting it solved. 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I couldn't have said that. The contractor has worked in keeping Ashton open, and Ashton was committed, especially in the terms of that little Pibbs store, Pibbs Exchange, which Halloween turns out is their Christmas time. And so these guys worked, and by that morning, I mean, they didn't have it done until 10 o'clock that morning. We're able to open the street back up and add parking spaces down the curbway, or at least what used to be the curbway. And again, I say that they worked with us really well to the extent that they've been able to. So we're getting through that. That project's got a ways to go, but we will have this the utility work done here in a couple of weeks. And Ashton will have some periods of closure during that time because some of this big stuff has to be dropped in and heavy equipment pulled in to do that, and it will impact the roadway at different times. So just be aware it's going to be kind of iffy over the next couple of weeks, but after that it should be good to go. And quickly, they also have rented out the York building just to the north of them and moved their offices over there, and they have a big parking lot to put their workers in. Yeah, that was easy. So now they've got most of those workers off the road and they put signs up. We had a lot of progress on that subject, but it was still not getting, it wasn't ever perfect. So now we've got a way to get that fixed better. Quickly now, there's the future development. I'd say there's a couple of projects coming up because other than Astra Tower, and when the Sugar Alley finishes off, it'll be kind of quiet out there for a little bit. Elm, that project on the Elm Street, maybe this spring. They're still kind of iffy on their start time. Snell Grove project is kind of way back on hold. There's been some changes there, and we won't see anything happening there immediately or anytime really soon. The same with the Midas property across the street from that. So you get a little breath here. You notice these guys are done, right? I've said this 14 times now. They're done, yeah. Okay, and that was it. The demolition of the DI building. The DI building will be coming down probably this spring. They've got an RFP out now for a contractor, and that is actively moving forward. So, all right, and then behind that comes the streetcar. Yes.
What was the resolution to the mystery water line?
The resolution is that the Salt Lake Public Utilities is going to move it in a direction and pipe around it. Apparently, it is picking up spring water. There's not an active, it's not coming out of a building or into servicing a building. It's actually picking up spring water and moving it to the south. And that was now what they found out. And they're going to now be responsible for shifting it just a little bit to the west and then around. And there's a big kind of a culvert type of thing that catches that over on the other side. Yeah. And they all had to figure out, it was mostly who was going to pay for it, frankly. I think that's where most of the discussion was. But yeah, and Lori.
So is Alcatraz still the developer of that project that they sold for?
Well, it's officially not Alcatraz, except that's what we're all still calling it. The guys that now, the original Michael Augustine and the group he was with are out of it. There was another partner that was helping to finance it. They were from Florida. They've taken over the whole project. And what is it? Something McCain Company. And they're been great people to work with. So, yeah.
Will that parking that you were talking about before, keep the workers from parking in the Fairmont Park parking lot?
That's the idea. Yeah, and we, again, there's been signs put up. They've been better at it, but not perfect at all. And so keeping them off of there and keeping them off the curbs in front of the building or in front of the businesses, that's all what we hope to see with all that parking that's around the York building now being theirs. So,
All right, I suppose, rapid fire, a few questions. Are there plans for what's gonna go in when the DI building is available?
well, no, there's an RFP out there asking developers to submit, and there will be a development there. I know of one in particular that's looking at it seriously, and you would know more about that. But it's going to be actively, it won't be long, but after it goes down, it'll be very quickly under construction, I'm guessing. Yeah. Yeah. No, Sugar House Barbecue property, but it's an interesting question because of the publicity that I just didn't like going around about it. The Sugar House Barbecue they had a release coming up due in August, mid-August, from the people they had been renting it from, who actually leased it, had a long-term lease from the original owner. That was Chase Bank. Chase Bank informed Sugar House Barbecue they wanted it back. They were not going to renew their lease, and they are now refurbishing the building to move back into it as Chase Bank. We've met with the owner and his wife and family out there and talked about the whole thing. And I just want to reiterate, Sugar House Barbecue didn't leave because of construction. But he did not want to go back into starting another business in another place. And he just said, okay, I'm done, forget about it. So, but that's, glad you brought that up. Been a little sore spot. Okay.
Real quickly, when the Midas garage comes down, is there plans on something to go in place of it?
Will they what now?
When the Midas garage goes down,
Yeah.
are there plans for what will go in place of it?
Yeah, there'll be a residential project there.
This will be a residential project, most certainly. It's owned by the Boyer Corporation. And they've got some general plans, but they haven't presented. Yeah, okay. So that'll be happening soon enough, but it hasn't been officially done yet.
Since we're flying through the agenda, if you don't mind, Chatterton would like to talk to you about the H-Rock and the real story.
Once Tyler leaves.
No, not the real story.
That's convenient.
So the H-Rock situation has kind of been, let me say, thrust upon us this year. This was something that I've had people come and speak to me about for the last 4 or 5 years, concerns about H-Rock. I will tell you, first and foremost, Highland High School does not endorse nor promote any students going and painting the H-Rock. That's not, back 15 years ago, that wasn't the case, right? But due to liability reasons, due to everything else, that is not something, we don't expect our students to do it. We don't do anything else in that regard. However, there is a ton of pressure from our alumni that H-Rock stays an H. Whenever it's not an H, we get lots of calls and or Facebook posts and or social media, everything else that you guys got to go up there and fix the H. So there has been an alumni group that has actually been the group that has been raising money to purchase the paint that our students will then go use to paint the H-Rock. And they have a very strong feeling about that remaining the H-Rock. With that said, there's no formal agreement with the city. To my knowledge, there's nothing anyone can find on paper, but there has been conversations predating me about Highland students basically being the caretakers of that area, almost like an adopt a highway type of setup, with that H-Rock walkway, making sure it's clean, and then obviously trying to maintain the appearance of the rock. I will tell you, our kids don't like to go paint the H-Rock. That's not their favorite thing to go do. It takes a ton of time. It's pretty dangerous. But they feel like they have to, as part of their tradition as Highland students, whenever someone else paints it. So if it were up to them, they would paint it once and never paint it again, and it would just stay an H. The problem comes in, typically we have students from other schools. A couple years ago, over the summer, it was painted quite a few times, just at different times. I think last year they had to go up and paint the H-Rock, I think, something like 10 to 12 times during the course of the school year, which again is not only pretty expensive, but just takes a ton of their time that they don't necessarily want to put towards doing that. So I'm not sure what the right answer is on the H-Rock, but I will say that our students our community, the Highland community, is pretty adamant that it remains the H-Rock.
So a wonder, as you're talking to the architects, I wonder if there's a way to represent that on the new campus that would alleviate the pressure up on the hill, but still have that same kind of visual. I don't know what's possible, but because to your point, like, I think we all worry for the kids,
yeah,
and we want them to be safe.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's like an opportunity with some of the redesign to kind of create like a memorial type effort related to that.
I think that's a great idea, and that is something that has been discussed. So yes, we are talking about that. Yeah.
What are traffic circle outside the school with a ram?
There is a RAM inside the school currently, so yes.
I mean, like the big traffic circle on 21st South.
Oh yeah. With the RAM in the middle. Love that. Believe me, that parking lot is the bane of my existence every day. So it is the worst place ever. But no, so I did want to let you know. So the RFP or the RFP, thank you. That had gone through. They did come and speak with us, and again, I was like, look, we're not telling the kids to go paint it. I mean, at this point, it is a graffiti issue, right? It's the kids are going up and doing it, just like the rock off of the 21st South or off the 215 when you pull in, right? That's constantly being painted. So it's not something that I just want to make sure that you all understand it's not something that the school itself is really pushing, but it is a Highland community alumni expectation that our students are expected to maintain. So, and again, I think the problem is if they don't, I mean, right now it looks terrible, right? East painted it last week or the week after our football game. Because again, I think he was just telling me that they had paid security to go up there the night before the East football game and then the night of the East football game. So it wasn't painted during that time, which is usually when it's painted. And then instead they painted it the week after. And so then we had to, so right now, and our kids are trying to honor the not going up there. So it's just this big white mark right now with a big red stripe on it. So yeah. But just wanted to give you that side of the story as well. So I'm not sure what the right answer is, but yes. Go Rams.
Susan, you want to come on out? Ready?
Hi, I am Susan Clicker, and I am your neighbor along 1900 East and Downington. And I'm here tonight to ask for your support for a text amendment to an ordinance that limits hedges in front yard space. So to explain the proposal a little bit, this is a graphic that the city uses to explain the limitations. So this area in the front limits a wall, a hedge, or a fence to 4 feet high from the front facade of a building to the sidewalk. This gray shaded area behind allows hedges to be 6 foot high and fences and walls. So if you could flip to the next one. This is the actual ordinance that limits it. And I really would just like to remove the word hedge from this. I totally agree that fences and walls in the front yard area create psychological barriers in the community, but I believe that we should be building or planting as much abundant plant material in our urban spaces as possible, including in our front yard areas. So I have alternative language that I'm proposing also that would allow for a hedge along the side yard property line, but to be higher, to be 6 feet, but keeping it at 4 feet at the parallel to the facade of the house. So you would still be able to see into the front yard from the sidewalk. The reason that I'm doing this, if you could flip to the next one, is because I have been served a violation order this fall. That this hedge that is in my front yard, it's been there since at this maturity level, it's about 8 foot high, 4 foot thick, and 43 feet long for the duration that I've owned the home for 15 years. So, and it was mature at that point. So this hedge, in order to comply with the current ordinance, needs to be cut to 4 feet high. I've talked with 2 landscapers, and they've both said that it is likely that the hedge will die because the plant material, for the majority of it, just will not survive. So then I'm dealing with the expense of ripping the whole thing out. This particular hedge starts 10 feet back from the sidewalk anyway. So, and this is the view from the property to the north. So, if you, the next one. So this is a video that I've embedded into the slide. If you can make it. This is my wake up call every morning. No sound?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, well, sorry.
Sorry.
No.
Is it birds?
Hundreds of birds live in this hedge. And every morning they're just singing and chirping, and it's really, really quite wonderful. So it's urban habitat, and it's a valuable urban habitat. Flip to the next one. So these are examples of other conditions that are within 2 blocks of my house that are permissible, and they're just not hedges, but they create a similar visual barrier all the way up to the edge of the sidewalk. This home has full landscaping, deep, thick landscaping across the whole front of their yard, and it's permissible because it's not defined as a hedge.
What is it?
I don't know.
Is it permissible, or you just don't know that they've been cited?
Actually, that's true.
Yeah.
So the city has a non-enforcement policy unless there's been some kind of complaint made or it's been called to the attention of the of city enforcement. So if you want to flip to the next one.
So a complaint has been made.
A complaint has been made, and I don't know why or who. So just that it's not compliant. So these are just other conditions that that have been suggested to me, that if you have a hedge but you break it, that is allowable. And all of this just seems kind of silly to me, that we have city staff time navigating and negotiating these conversations that are subjective in our community. So then my last, these are just other conditions that are 6 foot high walls along the sidewalks that are allowable because it's not the front yard. It's the side yard, but then those conditions are allowed. And this is a hedge on my block that is allowed because it's a side yard, not a front yard. So, did you have a question? Yeah. Mine, this is the sidewalk, and this 43-foot hedge starts 10 foot back. Do you want me to read that?
Yeah, that's picture. It looks like it's on the sides.
Yeah, my front door is here, so it faces the street.
So doesn't it run along the side?
It runs along my side property line, all the way, but it's in front of the facade of the house, so it is not allowed.
Oh. So it's the facade of the house that rules.
And in my case, that facade is set back 56 feet from the sidewalk. So I have a huge front yard. If you could go to the last slide too. So this is just my arguments that, more green material impacts our air quality in a positive way and reduces our urban heat island effect. Also, limiting front yard plantings reduces urban wildlife, especially for birds. I already mentioned the enforcement and policy issue and the waste of staff time on these kinds of issues. This ordinance also limits the diverse functional use of our front yard spaces. And I built an accessory dwelling unit on my property that was just occupiable this year, this spring, for the first time. And I enjoy the use of my front yard space as my outdoor living space because my backyard has become an accessory dwelling unit. The city is supporting the development of accessory dwelling units citywide to help with the housing crisis and to increase urban infill in our neighborhoods. So as we build more accessory dwelling units, the functional use of the remaining property is important and valuable to us. So I enjoy several seating groupings in my semi-private front yard, while I also enjoy sort of that neighborly contact of the front porch space. So, yeah. And also there's really no clear community benefit to limiting hedge or plant materials in front yards. So, yes.
I don't really like hedges on the sidewalk per se, especially in the front yards. As a parent, kids on their bicycles, and hedges are never trimmed to the actual sidewalk, and so I think it's kind of a disaster. And I also think that there should be visible space there, which is not present. I mean, I'm not sure about your side yard. It seems like 10 feet back should be sufficient, and I think you should kind of work with, your complaining neighbors, who I have some, who, may have other ideas about why it's a problem for them. And so, but I don't think we should have 4 foot or 6 foot high plantings barriers even to the front yard.
So in general, you agree that there should not be a limitation to the 4 foot height in front yards?
I do think there should be a limitation, that there shouldn't be these walls of greenery or walls of any kind over 4 foot.
Along the
sidewalk.
Along the sidewalk. Okay, well, I would like to ask for a letter of support or endorsement from the council. Sure.
What's the reason for 4 feet? Is it visual postman? What's the reason for 4 feet? I think there's probably a height that dogs in your fence can manage, and then above that, if you have a high, so it's cycles, on roadway, if you put a high object right behind the sidewalk, the drivers can't see around it. So there's a hazard for that. So like I was living up on a corner, walking every day with my dog. I don't see why there's an issue on the side yard, so to speak. I have an issue with that on the front end. Yes, it is a sidewalk. So I'm saying that riding on the, if you share the little hedge, but you can go like side yard. That's so like that whole like legal riding. You're not gonna get away from that.
No.
Even if your hedge is on a driveway, it's your neighbor's driveway, it's not yours, but when they go in, they can't see when they back out, right? they got your hedge there.
No, they can't,
because there's
so
10
she's
feet.
cut it.
Right,
Within.
so it's 10 feet. Okay, but it looked like there was other bushes there. I mean, we couldn't see anything in that image. It was dark. But
Yeah, the proposed language does include, except other sightline limitations, which do include driveway backouts and corners and that kind of thing. So.
It's really
Sure.
It's really about the fact that it's in front of your facade. It's not like across your front yard, right? It's that your house is back however many feet from where the hedge starts. So and you're kind of being penalized because the house is further back.
Set back further, yeah.
Street. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that seems kind of arbitrary to me, that as long as people can see and it's safe, I don't know why it's an issue. Maybe you could take a foot off the top. I don't know.
So that's not what she's going for. Yeah, so she does not make any significant changes related to the front yard. So the front yard, basically text would stand. It's just the side lot that would be addressed. I'll say a couple of things because I had a chance to talk to Susan, and I am speaking with council staff to try and bring this forward to council. You should know that if Susan goes this alone without a council member, there's a $1,200 fee. So we're going to try and avoid that to be able to have the conversation. But I think the thing that I just want to express to you as neighbors is that Susan is not alone in the fact that this is very prevalent in our neighborhood. And so I also think about it through the lens of I am very, very grateful that she has done the incredible research that she has related to trying to find a solution and bringing it forward, because I do think that one day it could be 20 of our neighbors. So after talking with her, I just walked around my neighborhood and I was violation, 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 violation. Now I didn't call the city because I think I like the birds. And none of it is impacting the sight lines. This just has to do with those side yard pieces. The other piece being, and I think Susan spoke to this, is that the difference between a hedge and if she went through and cut out sections in between, then that would be allowable, and that doesn't make sense to me. So we're really just trying to be first of all, welcoming to the existing side yard changes that we already have, but also not creating extra work for the neighbors to be you have to go cut spaces in between your bushes to be compliant with the city code, when it's not impacting the sight lines that is a key concern of some of the original code. So we're going to work through this at a city council piece. And what Susan's really asking for is willingness of the community to say, it was heard, you understand the concerns, and you support her in bringing this forward for additional conversation. So as your city council person, I encourage you to support her, but leave it to all of you to decide.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The language one more time. There.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that
So I can read this. It's just this section in here. So it's except as permitted in this subsection, the subsection of this code, a fence or wall, it currently says or hedge, and I'm proposing taking that out, located between the front property line of the and front building line of the facade of the principal structure that contains the primary entrance shall not exceed 4 feet in height. And then I propose adding in a second sentence that says a hedge along the front yard property line is limited to 4 feet in height parallel to the primary structure facade and is allowed at a maximum height of 6 feet along the side yard property lines perpendicular to the primary structure facade, exclusive of defined clear view standards. So I did work with an urban planner friend of mine to sort of navigate minimal changes to this. I think there's simple changes that help to streamline the issues and allow what is already present in many of our
So
yards.
Sarah, What if we just tell you that we're in favor of this change and you navigate?
Yeah,
to
no,
make-
no,
to make it work.
we're going that direction. It helps her case and my case to say that the community council
Right.
considered it and supported the
So
conversation.
is there anybody here desperately against this?
I just have a question.
See, everybody likes it.
Just trying to really be clear on this. So then it would allow now for a hedge to run along the front of the house, out by the sidewalk, as long as it's shorter than 4 feet. Is that
On the
what you're-
side yard property lines in front of the house,
But
but not parallel to the
Because this
sidewalk.
is parallel to the primary structure facade.
Yeah,
That's the
so-
4-foot section.
Which is already allowed.
It's already allowed.
That's already allowed.
Yeah, see, it says shall not exceed 4 feet in height.
Okay.
And, okay, this is probably in my word.
It should be parallel.
Shouldn't it be
parallel?
So if it's perpendicular to the facade, then it's allowed to be higher. But if it's parallel to the facade anywhere in the front yard, it's not
No,
allowed.
but
It's
Right.
not, it's limited to
Right.
4 feet.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Just,
I'm sorry.
As far as being close to an intersection, or if it's so many feet from an intersection, does it really?
That's part of the sightline.
That's a sight line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's obviously something we wanted.
Can we go back to the picture of her property? So this is really hard to see, is cut down here.
Yeah, the hedge stops right here, and there's a tree
Yeah.
and then a lower bush.
Right, and so it's just hard to see that from out here.
Yeah.
And so then we're talking, you could go 4 feet high along this line,
Yes.
Correct.
parallel to the front door. Okay. See, and in my mind, that 4 feet shouldn't be along the sidewalk, it should be 4 feet from the sidewalk.
And that, and I think that's.
Typically, you have, at least I do, there's an easement, about a 4 or 5 foot easement.
Yeah.
Past or whatever.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Appreciate it.
But, yeah, we can support this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
So you heard us say that.
Benny?
We don't have to write a letter.
Okay.
And then we'll go to you, Hannah, okay?
No, you need to.
And
Okay, it's pretty easy. Landon's going to remain our chair here for the council. So good. Many thanks to him. It's a big job. He makes it look easy. Our first chair is going to be Judy this next year. Second chair is Derek. Clap really loud for him. He's not here. And our third chair is Yvonne. And all 4 of these folks volunteered last year as well. So thank you so much. And then our money man is Mike Bagley back there. He's been doing it for a long time. Thank you, Mike. And our treasurer this year is yet to be determined.
Secretary.
I'm sorry, our secretary. Sorry, I was thinking you, treasurer, secretary. I mean, somebody wants Lynn to be secretary, but we're open for a volunteer if anybody wants to volunteer some time. We can talk about that later. But that's, yeah, those are our officers, and thanks for participating. Future secretary.
all right, Hannah. We have Senator Blue in here too. He looks about like we all do.
Okay. People online are gonna look up my nose for a minute. Woo. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah from the mayor's office. I just have a couple of quick updates today. First, some exciting news. The city announced some awesome programs last week to support tenants. I don't know how many of you are tenants, but I'm sure you have nieces or kids or, people out there in your life who are tenants. This marked the first anniversary of the Thriving in Place program, which is the city's anti-displacement strategy. So the city will be in partnership with the Community Development Corporation of Utah, opening a tenant resource center, which is awesome. It's going to be a one-stop shop just for in-person assistance for tenants that can be visiting in person or calling, and that center will be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We also have a new program coming online, the RAFT program, Relocation Assistance Funds for Tenants, and that'll provide financial aid to renters who are displaced due to new development, whether that's whoever owns their property is doing renovations and they have to leave, or maybe their property owner decides to sell and whoever buys it wants to build something different on that lot. That those funds can go directly to renters who are making, I believe, below 80% of the area median income, to help cover deposits, first and last month's rent, applications to help them find a new place. Next, I don't know if there are any veterans in the room. Do we have any veterans? Amazing. We had some. The city is hosting a Veterans Day event actually this Friday. So not on Veterans Day, but this Friday at noon at the City and County Building. Please come if you have time. We want to recognize you and thank you for your service. If any of you know any veterans in the city, please invite them. We'd love to get folks to show up. The mayor and city council members will be there. The veterans will be able to sign a banner, which will be on display at City Hall all next week. And I believe receive like a commemorative coin from the mayor and city council as well. So it'll be a great celebration. Please feel free to stop by. And then lastly, I held some office hours today. I don't know what I was thinking when I scheduled those the day after Election Day, but thank you to the Neighborhood Hive for hosting me. I was here this afternoon. I won't hold it against any of you that you didn't come, but I will if you want to stop by and chat. This is just a chance to get more in depth about things, save you the drive of going all the way downtown. I'll be at the King's English next week on the 13th from 1:30 to 3:30. So feel free to stop by. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Does anyone have questions for me? Great, thank you.
And thanks for your AV help tonight.
Yeah.
Councilwoman.
All right, we've got an item, just one. But it is important because I'm not going to see you guys in December, and I don't want this to go by because it is a topic of incredible interest, as has already been demonstrated by our community. So many of you are interested in what happens to the parcel on the corner of 2100 South and 11th East, otherwise known as the Wells Fargo building. So if you've been following, it was unanimously non-supported by the Planning Commission, but the final action comes before council, and we take it through like any normal proposal and procedure. So there is an opportunity to have your voices heard as in front of council in the very same way we did for Planning Commission. So a couple of things to note. First and foremost, currently the item is titled the Sugar House Community Master Plan and MU15 Zoning Map Amendment. Staff are currently working to add Wells Fargo building to the title so that we all have clarity and that it's easier for you to find in terms of the updates related to that. But I do want to call out, it is currently, one more time, called the Sugar House Community Master Plan and MU15 Zoning Map Amendment. Here's the schedule. Council will be briefed in our work session on December 3rd, 2024. There is not an opportunity for public comment at that time. That is for council staff to be able to hear the recommendations from Planning Commission and ask any questions related to the proposal and the process. It will come to the consent calendar to be recommended for a public hearing on December 10th. And the public hearing is scheduled currently for January 7th, 2025. And so that would be the date of the public hearing in the formal council meeting that starts at 7 p.m. that night. We will share this information more broadly in the newsletter, but I just want to put these items on your radar because if you are interested in participating in public comment, you certainly have that opportunity. Please note that all the previous public comment and the letters that have been written by the community council, specifically by your land use chair, Judy Short, are part of the public record that comes before council as well. So if you have any questions about that timeline or your ability to participate, we do offer both a Zoom option as well as an opportunity to come in person. And so we'll make sure all of that information is available through the newsletter. but put the date on your calendar, June 7th, 2025. June, sorry. Thank you, Lynn. January 7th, 2025 is the date that it is planned for. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the advocacy and the involvement in this process. I think that we saw that advocacy really play out in the Planning Commission recommendation, and I look forward to continuing to advocate as we move forward before full council. With that, I'll turn it back to Landon.
We have a lot of really great reps. So here's another one. This is Senator Bluen. Hey y'all, I don't have anything specific because I was up until 3 a.m. following election results, as many of you are probably doing as well. So in this crowd probably feel the same way as a lot of folks. You know,
It's a sad night.
disappointed with the national election results, but there's a lot of good stuff happening locally still. So Representative Hayes won a landslide. She's great. Big fan of hers. Okay, here we go. All this time and I still hate microphones. There we go. We got some great council races. Jenny Wilson won her race big time again, so she'll be back there in the county mayor's office. There's still a chance we could see Democrats take over the county council. It's kind of in flux right now, and a lot of the other down ballot county positions will go to Democrats as well. The surveyor, assessor, clerk, treasurer.
What about Natalie?
Natalie's close. Yeah, Natalie's got about a 16,000 vote lead last I saw. It was 5% or so. So she should hold that. But I don't want to say for sure. I congratulated her, but hopefully it's not too early. I don't think it is. But I think that's important to note that despite all this stuff happening nationally, we've got good people here. We're going to keep standing up for the values y'all tell us about. We need to hear from folks. We need to keep in touch with the community. It's going to be a challenging couple of years, I think. As a Democrat, it's always challenging at the legislature, but we had an ability to reach out to the federal government over the last couple of years with the Biden administration in the White House, and so we're going to lose that. So we'll keep trying to advocate for all the protections, all the support that we can get. Wherever it comes from. So happy to, hear from you folks before we get into session in a couple months here. That'll start after Martin Luther King Day. It's crazy how quickly that all comes up after the holidays. So we'll start putting out, newsletters, legislation, all that stuff. So if you have things you want to see at the legislature from us, hopefully easy enough to find. I'm always happy to hear from folks. So Sarah.
Is there anything on your radar that's coming that you'd be like, this is stuff that our neighborhood would care about?
Great question. I think everyone's been so focused on elections at this point that we're hearing things about like what are going to be the highlights of session. So I've heard, I do a lot of energy environmental work. I've heard this is going to be a big energy session, which is a little scary to me based off of what happened yesterday, plus what was already happening here in Utah. I think, there's a lot of shared values there as far as reliable and affordable energy, the clean part, not so much. So we'll keep trying to get those included as the state makes decisions about energy. Immigration, I think, is going to be, even though that's a federal issue, there's a push to, push people out of public schools and take away public resources from folks who are maybe undocumented or in some of those situations. And we'll see some of that trickle down to the state government. I'm almost positive because we've seen it in recent years, and I think there's been even louder discussions about that. I'm trying to think if there's any other, I feel like there are a couple other hotline topics, but yeah. Looked like Amendment B was good, right? That passed? Yeah, so that's good. Amendment C, I think, passed too, kind of whatever. Yeah.
So what about the gerrymandering,
Gerrymandering.
That other thing too, but yeah, are they going to change the maps or what's going to happen?
Yeah, so my understanding with that, so we had Amendment D was
originally going to be on the ballot. You didn't see the results on that yesterday. I don't know if we'll ever see how people actually voted. You know, it was on the ballot, but it would make it a little weird if someone releases results about who actually. I don't know. I don't know if I want to see results of what was filled out. Then I'd want to see it. Selfishly want to see it, but so that'll go forward. Basically, my understanding is that's kind of, you know, there was the decision around Amendment D and everything related to that, and because the court decided to pull that off, the lawsuit itself on the maps gets to go forward. I think in like the district court sort of level. Sarah's nodding her head. Yeah. So that'll kind of go forward. I think with the congressional maps to begin with, and then I'm still not entirely sure how that translates to like state legislative maps. Obviously, if we get like a competitive congressional district, that'd be fantastic. That's one of the things we saw. I think turnout was. I haven't looked overall at turnout in Utah, voter turnout yesterday in Utah, but I don't think it was great. I don't know if it was terrible, but I don't think it was great. Competitive races bring a lot of excitement and a lot of turnout. We saw it in 2018 with initiatives and Ben McAdams on the ballot with a competitive race that year. So definitely, I think competition is good in elections. We should have more balance there, more fair districts that offer representation for the entire state. I know, as a county, we voted in an entirely different way. I think Democrats won pretty much across Salt Lake County, whether it was Biden, whether it was Brian King, Caroline Gleick. I think they all won Salt Lake County, by at least a couple of points, which is an improvement from what we've seen in recent years. So certainly, I want to see that go forward and hopefully get a competitive race that will translate to hopefully a lot of excitement and resources. Money in politics isn't, kind of a dirty topic, but having money there that comes down from having competitive races at the congressional level will translate to state politics too. So hopefully we can elect some more progressive leaning, from my opinion, folks to help out up there, because that would be a big deal. And my goal is working at chipping away at the supermajority, because that's where we start to be able to push back with some actual ability to slow things down. Hopefully, I've been disappointed with Governor Cox, but if we were able to get above that supermajority threshold, it gives him the opportunity to actually veto stuff without having it kicked back immediately just based off the party lines. So it's a long ways off. Like, don't get me wrong. I think we picked up one seat in the state house, which puts us at 15. We would need 25 to get to that number. So it's a long ways to go. But there's definitely some positive trajectory there. And there were a lot of close races too, and areas in the legislature, I think, improvement and some bright lights there. So we'll keep working at it.
I have a question about the ads being run on the TV. Who's paying for the ads that say the state should take over the federal lands and control them themselves? And I didn't vote on that, and yet it would appear my taxpayer dollars are paying for those ads.
Yeah, so this is that Stand for Your Land lawsuit plus advertising campaign. There's been a lot of reporting. I've asked for reports from, I'm trying to think whether it was the Attorney General's office. Anyway, I've tried to dig around to try to figure out where that funding's coming from. I mean, it's your tax dollars. Like we are all paying for that. It is directly coming from our pockets to the tune of millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars. And this is Stand for Your Land, I think, is what they're calling the suit. So they're trying to push this initiative to take back millions of acres of federal public land. They're trying to push this directly to the Supreme Court.
I'm a federal landowner.
Yeah, we are all federal landowners. And I was just down on some of that land in San Juan County in the Bluff area last week, and I mean, it's fantastic. There's such a range of geographies and different topographies here in Utah. That's what brought me out here. So and it would raise costs for ranchers if this stuff was managed at the state level. I mean, we have higher grazing fees than the federal government does. That's one of the things they're talking about as far as why they're pushing for this. So if you don't like it, I certainly hear you. We don't have Republicans representing us right here, but that's generally who's pushed on those suits are the Republicans. And I mean, those are bills that go through the legislature. So those are appropriations made by the legislature. And those advertisements and such, I think, are coming from the governor's office. And there's a variety of kind of commissions and stuff involved with that. But yeah, I'm tracking that one and trying to see if we can get at least accountability and transparency as far as spending. I think, well, we're behind. I mean, the state government is behind it. Yeah, I mean, we're spending. I think there was a report we were spending like $1,000+ an hour on a lawyer. So, yeah, these are sophisticated proposals. Lots of money there, and not a direction I like at all. I think, yeah, we the federal government. I mean, I was just on those. Like I said, I was on some of those lands last weekend, and it's not perfect, but the federal government's done a pretty good job of trying to take care of that and making sure that there's access. There's been frustration over some old roads that get closed and OHV access and all that. But we've had some reports from different advocacy groups and stuff, and I think there's a lot of misunderstandings there about what some of these folks are entitled to do with the land. And yeah, it's all of ours in the end, and it'd be a shame to lose that. So.
I did see, I can't remember where it was, but the state approved a $2.5 million budget to fight for the state for the land. So that doesn't include like the advertising, but the attorneys, which is $2.5 million for the state budget. What do you use for costs?
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of two prongs. There's both like the legal prong of trying to punt it right to the Supreme Court, and then along with that, the public relations campaign, which is actually, and I work with folks in DC, and I asked them the other day, I'm like, hey, are you seeing these ads that we are spending money on? They're like, yeah. They're getting served these ads outside of the departments in DC that deal with this stuff and outside the Supreme Court. So that's kind of the idea, is to create, a quote unquote grassroots, it's not grassroots, but to get that feeling and try and get the Supreme Court to take it up. So they're trying to get in decision makers' minds. I saw Mike Lee is on the short list for Attorney General, so that'll be fun.
We've done that for a long time, and it's very sad.
Along with our.
About how much pressure you think there's still on water issues, getting water to the Great Salt Lake for the legislature for this year? I've heard this.
Yeah, I think the speaker recently said we're not running water bills this year. So I think I'll run water bills. They won't pass, but we need to keep we need to keep pressing on it. I mean, we've gotten lucky. I will say there's been good stuff passed in recent years. Some of this legislation is good. This funding is mostly good. But it's not what got water to the Great Salt Lake. What has gotten water to the Great Salt Lake is far above average water years that translated down. So hopefully some of these policies we've passed, will over time start amounting to more consistent flows to the Great Salt Lake. And other, it's important to note there are plenty of other bodies of water to look at. But for, I think our public health in this area, the Great Salt Lake is the biggest one to me. But yeah, we need to keep watching that. And I think there's some accounting going on of like all of the different policies that have been passed and like looking at their impact. So we'll see some reports on that coming up. Yeah, it's good stuff, but like we need more soon. I mean, the lake is still at a very low level. It's still well below kind of where we need it to be for long-term health of ourselves, the birds, the brine shrimp, the economy out there. So yeah, I'm not hopeful about this session in particular, but hopefully what we have done does actually have some long-term impact. And some of these private donations and stuff are great, but again, it's, we can incentivize all we want, but if no one takes those incentives up, then it's not actually doing anything. So at some point, you've got to put a little bit of, mandate behind it occasionally.
Nate, real quick, factoid. I worked outdoors, railroad track, with the same pattern exactly 4 decades ago. We've had 3 good water years, not 2. And I've seen this all through the press. I see 2. It's like, who's looking at the facts? 3 years. Now we're going into the 4th. 40 years ago is when it dropped off. But, God, I love it. the snow, the rain, and just hope it keeps going and we don't follow exactly the same pattern that we did 40 years ago. Because that dropped off in the dry and especially in the drought.
I hope we're using those pumps again sometime soon.
They're still there.
Yeah, we still spend some money to take care of those pumps from, I think that was the Bangor days.
I used to run that route on the UP. They get leased, but I never saw it when anybody was there. They get leased out. The state makes a little money off of them. Probably more than enough to keep them maintained.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to have that problem again. Feel free to come up afterwards and reach out anytime. I think I've got some flyers left in my car that have contact info. So if y'all don't know how to reach me, I can run out and grab some of those and hand them off. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, guys. So no meeting in December. Meeting adjourned. Whoa. Oh, one more thing.
I have three things. First is the Sugar House Art Walk is this Friday. I'll leave a poster here. And I have to tell you, these businesses, a lot of them are the ones that are affected by the road construction. So great if you go support them. And we have winter hours and they're 5 to 8 instead of 6 to 9. And then in December, the Art Walk's on December 13th. And we're going to have some holiday markets. And we're trying to put together a little program where you go get a stamp and we have some drawings and we're still putting that together. So anyway, December 13th. And then I own the Sugar House Santa Shack now, and it opens the Saturday after Thanksgiving at 11. I don't think any of you, well, Benny's always so great to come and support, even though his kids are grown. He's just awesome. Anyway, he forces them. And the dog. Anyway, the Santa has been there more than 25 years. This is probably his last year for sure. So there are some people who come just because they love him, because he's just the best. He's so personable. And I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. Last year, all the years, he usually comes in a fire truck, and he wasn't supposed to last year, but the SUV was out, and it was the most painful thing in the world to watch him climb down. It took him 10 minutes to get out of the fire truck.
Oh my God.
It was so sad. Anyway, so we think we're going to have a motorcycle parade. So like 25 motorcycles, and I'll be posting, we have a Facebook page and Instagram, Santa Shack, and Landon will probably put something in the newsletter for me. So that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving at 11 a.m. And one more thing. So a book came out a couple years ago about vintage signs in Utah, and there's a second one coming out. Lisa Michelle Church has put it together. She really doesn't make any money doing it. She just loves doing it. And there's a book signing at the King's English with her new book, Saturday, November 16th. It's only from 1:30 to 2:30. But the King's English has the book, has great pictures in it. And she's featured a little tiny section of Sugar House. A lot of my pictures are in there. Anyway, it's just a fun book, makes great gifts if you like vintage signs in Utah.
So it's different than the other one?
Yeah, this is the second version. Okay, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Get cookies. Those cookies are fine.
I'm so glad.
I love these. I felt like I was like